Welcome to the Safety Third podcast. Today is a very special episode, as every episode is. I've decided to wear my headphones facing forwards. It's a forehead pad. It's nice. It helps block the light. Do I look darker than normal? I feel like the light. I can't. The LED panel behind me, I can't turn the light down. Like, it just won't dim. It's kind of broken. The knobs are like taped on. My friend gave it to me for free, and so it's just at that brightness level, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, you're very shadowy.
Yeah, on your right side.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I could look in that direction.
I recommend a large spotlight, like Batman
right
signal.
Just turn on
right
your phone flashlight.
I do have this other light right here. Today's very special episode, we have Nate. I want to say from, but not from, because Nate just got fired.
Yeah, no longer.
From the King of Nate, our special guest, just recently got fired from the King of Random.
Hello.
What an intro.
Did you get fired?
I don't know if there's a legal difference between those two, so you use whatever language you're comfortable with.
Has anyone here ever been formally fired? Where, like, your boss said you're fired and you had to leave your job?
I don't think
Will's
I've
gone.
ever been
Mike
fired.
in your mouth. Mike to your face.
Will fired himself.
Will, your camera has fired you.
What?
Oh yeah, you're black.
Black
What the
screen.
hell?
It's
What did
not
I do?
It's not even saying the thing it said before. It's just nothing.
What?
Oh
Hey.
wait, you're
It's
back.
back.
You came back.
That was like percussive maintenance. I just tapped it and it started working. That's not good.
Dude, you got a loose cable.
No touchy.
I got fired once.
Where'd you get fired from?
I think once. So I got fired for quitting.
That doesn't make any sense.
I
that
gave
just
my
means
2
you
weeks
quit.
notice, and then they just told me not to come there.
Like, you don't quit, I fire you.
Yeah, that's basically what happened.
Well.
He was mad. He got really mad at me and then just said, "Don't come in next week." And I was like, "Okay."
What job
Wow,
was
Is
that?
that what happened with you, Nate?
I did not give notice. No, I just got a phone call that says we're letting you go, and I think that's the only time I've been let go / fired from a job. I don't remember any previous ones.
Actually,
Have you
I
ever
remember.
had like a
It
real
has happened to me
job before this?
Wait,
Yeah,
no, both you ask both your questions at the exact same time again? That way the audience loves that.
very helpful.
Yeah. Wait.
Oh, wait,
Kevin,
actually, on the
all
count
right,
of three,
at the count
all
of
of us
three.
ask Nate a question.
Yeah, count of
1,
three. We all ask a question.
2, 3.
One time I was
Have you ever
Dunkin'
had a
Donuts
real
and I
job
was
that you
fired.
did you get
before,
fired
like
from?
before
They told
you
me not to come
were on
in.
King of Random?
Yes, I've had a normal job. My favorite job, other than working at the King of Random, was the one before it, working at a sculpture studio. And I missed the third question. I guess I can only process 2 at once. And
That's-
I
that's
could have
okay.
been
Mine
wrong.
wasn't a question. I was telling a story.
Then that's a great story, Kevin. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Nate.
So you worked at the King of Random on the channel
Yes.
for like 3 years?
4.5.
4 years. 4.5 years.
Years, yep.
And then just 4.5 years later, you get a call that says you no longer have a job with us.
That's the whole story right there, in fact. Like, that's, yeah.
You know, I had when Michael and I lived together, we rented a place, and I got a call from the management agency once. It's not getting fired, but very similar energy. Maybe, I don't know. I just felt like sharing the story. And they call and they basically ask, "Oh, did you guys plan on continuing your tenancy there?" And I was like, "Yes, we were hoping to go month to month." And they're like, "Oh, because the owner doesn't want you to be there, and so you have to leave." So I'm glad that at least they just straight up told you don't have a job anymore instead of making some.
Yeah, like, hey Nate, where do you see yourself in the next year to 5 years? Because it's not gonna be here.
And you're like, "I don't know, I was hoping it'd work here," and they're like, "Ooh, wrong answer."
They're just really hoping the off chance that you say you want to move on. It's
We
like
have
a lot
some
easier.
suggestions of what you should say when we ask you where you want to be in 5 years. None of them involve being here.
Actually, now that I think about it, Will, I think I remember like in your old house, the one that burned down.
Yeah.
I remember being there, and at one point you got an email.
Yeah.
I think you were offered essentially the
From
job
Grant.
that Nate
Yeah,
eventually
I could have
took
had
on.
your job.
All right.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
I assume that was about 4.5 years ago, or was it more recent?
2016. I think it was 2016 or 2017.
2017, yeah, is when I got hired. So
I could probably find the email, but it was
Yeah,
basically
there's an alternate universe
fun.
where Will is sitting in Nate's chair right now, and Nate is sitting in Will's chair.
yeah. I
married
just
to
got
Chelsea
fired,
Osman.
and you have brain worms and riddled with YouTube trauma. You're riddled with comment trauma. It's funny, dude. Looking at the comments about comments, like you can see Will thinks about the comments.
Was
the
that
way
your
he
job
says
to
things. Look, I'm
read
doing it right now.
comments?
What?
Nate, was that your job
What,
to
me?
read comments on the King of Random channel? Or were you kind of
No,
insulated from that?
That was. I mean, I did read comments just on the off chance that someone submitted like a good video idea, and for
Oh,
a
yeah.
while we tried to draw video ideas from the comments because it could help with engagement to show like, yeah, you guys came
yeah.
up with this, we're gonna run with it. So yeah, that was an interesting baptism.
This
of
was
fire.
your guys' bad idea. Look what you made us do.
Oh, and I did maybe two videos where it really basically was me saying like, look, a lot of you have asked this. It's not a good idea, but because so many of you have asked to see it, we're going to do it. And like, I think that was, we did rocks in a vacuum chamber. Like
Rocks in a vacuum.
Like hundreds,
That's
if
so
not
cool.
thousands of people asked us what would happen if we put rocks in a vacuum
Are you sure they
chamber.
didn't say The Rock?
Maybe some of them did. I should check my
I think they
literacy
may have
test.
been asking you to put Dwayne The Rock Johnson inside.
That's
a
probably
vacuum
it.
Chamber.
I missed my chance too. He
Everyone's
probably
like, "What
would
the
spring
hell
for
is
that.
this? Why you put rocks in a vacuum chamber?" No, my camera stopped working. What is going on?
Nate, one time you were doing a
I
live
don't
stream.
understand.
You were doing a live stream for King of Random, and it was like on Instagram Live, and people were asking you video ideas, and it was all like, what if you took gasoline and you mixed it with liquid nitrogen and then set it on fire? And it was all
Yeah.
ideas like this. I know I get thousands of those ideas
Yeah.
too.
Although, I mean, technically Grant did do that. He did mix liquid nitrogen and gasoline, and he almost set the roof on fire when he did it. So,
Nice, really?
yeah, the video is still out there. It's kind of funny. Like, I don't remember, the title and thumbnail is basically like, "Will it burn?" And like the thumbnail is like his workbench is on fire.
Nice.
So like, yeah, it'll burn. But yeah, the way gasoline freezes in liquid nitrogen, it formed kind of a weird crystalline structure and was able to burn very, very rapidly even while it was still cold. So he like touched a lighter to it, and it sprayed burning gasoline sideways and up. And there are still scorch marks. Well, it's not really scorch marks. It's just smoke on the ceiling of the studio. And then he's just like goes around. He like lifts up a fire extinguisher, sees the fires are starting to die down. So he just doesn't use it because they make a huge mess. So he just like
it's
goes
a
around with his
disaster.
gloves.
If you use one of those fire
gotta-
extinguishers, it's
gotta-
like just as
Yeah.
bad as getting your house burned.
Yeah,
Why?
it was one of the ABC fire extinguishers,
Oh,
not
yeah.
not the CO2.
CO2.
Gotta do CO2.
Yeah, I recommend to everybody buy a CO2 extinguisher. It's kind of expensive.
So
they're
much
like
better.
they're like 10 times more expensive than a regular fire extinguisher. I
It's
don't
worth
understand
it. Not having to clean off that
Yes.
yellow powder. It destroys everything.
What?
It gets
Here's
everywhere.
here's the comments. I want to wait like 30 seconds, and like anyone who's listening to what we just said, they're gonna leave comments, and then we're gonna have our rebuttal to it, because what they're gonna say is that they don't work as well as the ABC ones, which is true. CO2
Is it
fire
true?
extinguishers,
Really?
yes, they do not work as well as the ABC powder ones, but they don't make a mess.
I would say try a CO2 one first if you have it for sure.
Yeah, CO2 first.
If it's still
and
on
then-
fire.
Yeah, if things are really
Yeah,
on
that
fire,
makes sense.
maybe just go straight to the ABC. So I've got I have a lot of questions about the King of Random.
I think everyone does.
Did they
Okay.
make you sign a non-disclosure?
I mean, like, I had a contract and it has a bunch of stuff in it. I'm trying to remember if any part of it is specifically a non-disclosure. I think there is some stuff in there.
Okay.
But
Well, you can tell us,
it's-
and then if you read your contract and it's bad, then we can cut that part out.
Well, it's
Zach can edit out whatever is a no-no.
most of the stuff that I had in there is basically like when I was first starting, it was stuff about, if you learn any trade secrets from Grant and from working here, then, don't give those out. And to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what those would have been.
That's
Like
To
if you
give?
had accidentally discovered like a formula that made cars 500 times more efficient.
Or the video's
Yeah.
500
yeah.
times.
No, but it
That's
was
like-
like Yeah, it was like YouTube trade secret stuff,
like the only like we
accidentally discover something by doing like for some reason you put like 500 gummy bears together, it becomes like a nuclear fusion reactor. Like you can't spread that around.
Somehow, if you put 500 gummy bears together, it automatically gets 1 million views on the video.
Science. Yep.
That is
that's
a
YouTube secret. I mean, I can't confirm that.
YouTube is like a very weird, like entertainment in general is like a very weird place because there's like a lot of kind of weird gray areas about like, we're just doing things, but also at the same time, like there are things you don't want people to sort of know. You don't want to give away all your tips and tricks and secrets.
Yeah.
But then you end up with like the other direction where a company will try to like make you say nothing ever.
Yeah.
Like where it's like if you work on a channel and you try to say, well, our YouTube secret is we hit the record button on the camera. So if you go to another YouTube channel to work, you can't hit the record button. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like stupid stuff like that. Where it's like there's certain things where you can't tell the person that they can't do that. Like you can't go make videos somewhere else. But like sometimes you can. You can have, non-compete, which says like you can't go make your own YouTube videos.
But I guess what
I
you're
do
saying,
not have that kind of non-compete. Like I do have. There was like language about a non-compete, but it's mostly like I can't take ideas that the King of Random channel has put any effort into.
Yes.
And
that's fair.
And I agree. Yeah. I think that's fair. Yeah.
Because like obviously if they've sunk energy and money into developing, a cool video idea and you just run off somewhere else and do it, like that would suck.
Yep.
But also like, I'm curious, and it sounds like you're not, because you were there pretty early too, and I feel like it sounds like you had a pretty big role there, so that they probably weren't like, I don't know. It just depends on who the person is. Some people are weird. Yeah. But like you could just see something like, oh, you can't do anything with like insert generic thing like liquid nitrogen. Like you can't do liquid nitrogen experiments like that.
No,
like if you get really popular,
so weirdly restrictive like that.
You might have somebody that doesn't care.
So
somebody might come after you. Like, hey.
Yeah. So we can ask you lots of questions.
You can ask, and maybe like there might be things where I will just sort of steer you away from what you were directly asking.
What is your social security number?
8. Yeah. I'm much older than I look.
Yeah. What is your opinion of Israel?
More research.
Israel. It doesn't matter what you say, somebody will get mad at you.
Yeah, that's the one question where it's like there's no right answer. You cannot answer that question.
Even deflecting was a bad idea.
My answer is that I need to do more research, and I stick to that forever, no matter how much research I do.
That's probably honestly the best way you could have ever answered that.
Yeah.
I'll come back when I have a PhD.
How did you get the job doing King of Random stuff? Because like the King of Random has been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it's like everyone sort of considered Grant the King of Random, but then it kind of became more of like a channel. Did you how did he meet? No, dude,
just
I think the camera's
the
going to sleep.
The people who just hear the audio can't even tell what's going on.
My camera. Okay, I need to figure out how to make this camera stop going to sleep. Oh shit, it's all backwards.
Oh, now we get to see the nitty gritty. This is
Wow.
the secret sauce.
The settings.
This is what Will's not allowed contractually to show us his camera settings.
I'm just gonna have to go over and tap this.
Is this a new camera?
No, it's the old one, but it's not, dude. I don't know. I had to buy the new. I had to buy a brand new camera, the Canon M50 Mark II, because the original one that I have doesn't have clean HDMI out. You can get clean HDMI out by turning off autofocus, which I have it on off autofocus right now, and it's fine because it's like whatever. But now I also learned that it won't just stay on. How did Grant find you? Did you guys live in the same area? Did he know?
Yes-ish, but that's not how he found me. So he was at CVX Live, which was like a Utah version of a YouTuber meetup. And my friend Keith had been making some videos that had been doing pretty well, so he also got invited, and he talked to Grant in the green room and was like, hey, if you ever need molding and casting supplies, you should talk to my friend Nate. I worked at a sculpture studio at the time, so we bought mold supply. Like we would buy mold rubber by the barrel, And so we like, I don't know how they got on that topic, but they did. And so Grant did want that at some point. He came to the studio and bought some rubber from my boss. And, that's when he made, I think that was when he poured silicone rubber onto a roast chicken. I think that's what he wanted it for.
Yeah, I remember that thumbnail.
Chicken fleshlight.
He used the word episiotomy in that video too, which surprised me. So I just started following the channel more. I had seen a couple of the videos previously, but not really put them together with being him. So I just started following more because he had come and I was like, oh, hey, I met him. That was fun. And then not too long after that, maybe 4 or 5 months after that, he put out a video saying that he was looking for an assistant to do some behind the scenes, like building and prototyping and testing. And so that's the job that I was applying for, that I did apply for. And he just had a form online, apply for the job, show a resume, come up with some ideas to show you can come up with ideas. So I just applied, and there was a couple rounds of emailing and then some in-person interviews. And I did live fairly close to him. I was only about half an hour away from where he lived at the time. So that might have been pretty helpful.
Yeah, I found the email that he sent me. He said a couple people have emailed saying that June 25th, 2017.
Was that before or after you applied, Nate?
That's a good question. I feel like I actually was already doing something by then. So it might have been that you could have just completely dethroned me.
I became the king. You became...
Of non-random.
I became the king of...
Okay, so I'm curious what he asked you in the email, whatever amount of it you want to share.
He said, my current assistant is utterly incompetent.
So definitely after he hired me.
He said a couple people have emails saying you might be a good fit for this position. I'm hiring someone to spend every day with projects and every day playing with projects and prototypes that can get ready for video production. If you're interested, you can find the link to the application on my other social media, but please hurry. I'll be closing the application process on Tuesday.
So it sounds like he was asking you to apply using the same form that I did, but he, I'm sure, would have given you a big leg up.
Maybe. Then I asked, are you looking for a host or a collaborator or someone to prepare projects for you to film? Is this a remote position or does it require relocation? Is the pay hourly per project? What are you looking to pay? And the pay was actually I was surprised because normal, on YouTube, people will be like, I'll pay you $20 for 2 years. People on YouTube are notoriously bad and cheap. But it was I think he said you offer $50,000 a year in Utah. It couldn't be remote though.
No, probably not.
So that was I at the time I probably would have considered it at any earlier in my life, but at the time I think my YouTube stuff was starting to work well, and so I turned it down.
Yeah, it looks like going back in my own email, the first the response to my application was June 20th. And then my application video that I sent in to him was June 25th. So sounds
maybe he
like
saw your
timing.
video and he was like, "Oh God!" And then he emailed me.
Yeah. He's like, "This guy is robotic on camera. We can't possibly." Well, the thing is, he at the time, there was no discussion of me even being on camera. I put in a video, but that was just to show me making something.
Right. Because that's what he said to me as well. Exact same thing of this is just for preparing things.
Yeah.
Not
you were just going to be like his build goblin, in the basement. Just
you can just say regular goblin, Alan.
What build goblin is specific.
No, regular goblin. You're going to be his regular goblin.
Well, I think regular goblin doesn't imply it's a job,
Well,
I think
probably
you have to
have
pay
you do other
someone to be a
goblin
build
things.
goblin. Like a hobgoblin, that's a career. Goblin's just whatever kind of bum goblin is on the street,
What's a hobgoblin?
I don't actually know.
It's a bigger, it's just a bigger goblin, I think.
What the difference is between a hobgoblin and a regular goblin.
Wait,
we got a picture on the screen.
Wait, where did that come from?
This was
Looks
me.
like
I was
Kevin's sharing it somehow.
I was looking
Kevin,
through my
Grant,
emails and I
Kevin,
found
Mark.
this picture of
Kevin,
me.
describe
my
this
God.
picture
So
for
this
the
was
folks at
VidCon
home.
2016.
Kevin, you look so healthy.
Shut up.
What the hell happened?
It's a very healthy looking Kevin in front of a fountain with 3 other people.
This was me. I was living in my SUV for a month at this point. making my way to VidCon in 2016. So we did a meetup. It was me, Mark Rober, Grant Thompson, King of Random, and I Like to Make Stuff. And yeah, we did like a fan meetup, and then I can't remember if it was Grant or Mark Rober thought that they were going to get shot there. They thought it was a bad idea.
With the poor person pass.
I know. They wouldn't give me a real pass. I was with Studio 71. They're like, yeah, we don't have any more passes, but you can have.
At least
you got a pass. That I remember that was the year where you met me at the after party at the YouTube space.
That's right.
Because I didn't even have a pass. I just showed up to the after party.
Yeah, I always laugh at like the weird social hierarchy that happens at VidCon with the pass colors.
It's weird. Like it was actually different levels too. You know, it's like ground floor, and then there was a higher level, and then there was a business.
They'll dart down, like they'll look at you, then they'll look at your badge just see
what level your pass is.
And like I would go up to the vendors and try to talk to them. And
no, I mean it makes things easier. I wish that everyone had to wear a badge like that at all times in real life.
Class war.
Because then you would just know. You would know who to ignore and who to be nice to. You know, it'd be nice.
Can I walk around with my 1 million subscriber?
I don't want to be nice to everyone. I don't have time for that. I want to be able to look at a glance to see who deserves it.
So where do I get my low tier badge?
The trash.
Now that you've been fired.
Did you? I mean, you don't have to answer. Did they give you any like severance package or anything like that?
No.
Oh God! My dad worked at the LA Times for like 25 years, and when he left, he did get some sort of severance package. But they also gave him basically let him keep his old equipment, because that's sort of one of the problems doing stuff like this is if you're working for somebody doing media and then all of a sudden you find yourself having to do freelance. Well, there's potentially like $5,000 to $10,000 worth of equipment that you don't have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the cameraman, Mark, who'd been with the channel longer than I have, he was let go at the same time.
Yeah.
And he actually is in that situation. So he actually had owned his own equipment, but then the company bought it from him over a year ago.
Right.
But now that they let him go, I mean, they bought it.
Right.
So he doesn't have it. So he's looking.
So was
it
it just? What, Alan?
I was gonna say, because I saw your Instagram post when you sort of first announced that you were being let go, and something that caught my eye was this idea that you said that the channel itself, like just like something had changed. Like the channel didn't change, but something about like YouTube or about the audience had changed. Is there like do you think there's anything in terms of like how videos are now versus like 4 years ago?
Yeah, do you think you have like you could verbalize that sort of feeling?
Yeah. Because I think, everyone here has had to make videos over a period of time and try to like figure out like if the landscape is changing or how it is, or like kind of videos to make. So like what was your sense, and how did it sort of like end up with like them not having enough money for you anymore?
Is that what happened? Were they just trying to cut costs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
they've got to be making so much from residuals.
That's my best understanding. I mean, maybe from residuals the channel is still pulling in a lot, but if you're just like, if you look at your numbers and say like, well, we would be doing a lot better if we just stopped making videos because our expenses are more than what's coming in, or it's not paying for itself, kind of thing. There comes a time as to what changed. I don't have a great answer for that. I know that when views, so like I did explain in the podcast, we were making the types of videos we were making, and then like in this like 2-year block of the exact same type of videos, there was a spot where views just, and we hadn't changed anything. We were doing the same stuff. And we thought we noticed it, and we were talking about if we needed to change anything. But the decision was made that what we were going to try and change was producing more videos. And that's when the additional hosts were brought on. I don't know if any of you paid enough attention to know about that, but at the time it was Callie and myself were there as the hosts. And then 3 new people were brought on, the idea being that they could be another team to just make additional content at the same time. And there were
I never
some issues
actually.
with that.
I don't know the names of any of the 3 new people. I mean, I'm sure they've done a great job, but it just never kind of like. I don't know.
Not everyone's going to follow everything. I get it.
Yeah,
Do you
exactly.
feel like you put sort of a lot of work into it and that it kind of sucks to just sort of be like swept away from it? Like,
in some ways, there's like I don't feel like it was like I didn't get anything out of it or if it was a waste or anything, because like I was hired on salary to do a job and to make videos, and I did the job and I made videos. And while I wish that some things had been structured differently or compensated differently, in the end, I can't complain too much about that.
because this is like a very, I think, kind of deep topic. I don't know if it's interesting to most people, but I think like sort of YouTube is something different than what the audience sees it as sometimes. It's like technically a business. And in some cases more so it's a business, but like the audience perceives it as more organic. Like they kind of see, you know, oh, this is what you're doing, and this is, oh, just a video about it, without realizing that, well, the video side of things does take, you know, quite a bit of time and effort and money to put together, especially if you're paying a team, you know, paying a camera person. Like we just did a video where, you know, the camera people, I had 2 camera people, and it cost, you know, like the day rates are like close to $1,000.
Yeah, because they're wedding filmographers. They're usually supposed to be filming weddings.
Correct. And so it's like, you know, if you're shooting, so it's like, you know, people sort of forget that, you know, YouTube is a business, but there's also this really weird like interconnect between like business and reality. And then if you have a channel that is sort of run more like a business, like the King of Random, you know, is right now, sort of weird things start happening where like if the host doesn't own the channel, the audience doesn't know that. The audience thinks that the host is the channel. So like they think that Nate is the King of Random, not like everybody, but like that's sort of how it's kind of perceived subconsciously, at least a portion or a certain percentage of people.
Yeah, and so for them to be like, oh, the King of Random is letting go of Nate, it's like, wait, like that's a paradox. Yes. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's like like Nate is letting go of Nate. Like, what does that mean?
It's like when Grant let go of himself on the King of Random.
Right. Right. It's sort of like, well, what does that mean? Like, that is the King of Random. It's not the channel. It's sort of the person. And then that changes over time. But you sort of end up in more complicated situations too, where then there's like weird money stuff where, you know, you look at instances of other channels that have gotten absolutely like screwed, and there's a lot, like Smosh I think is a good example, or look at like early Machinima, where the contracts they had were perpetual. Like they ended up being like illegal contracts, and they had to, like, I don't know exactly the whole story, but the contracts were never ending. So you would sign your channel, they would sort of be able to do whatever they would do that was not beneficial to creators, and you could never get out of it until that was all, like, you know, they were sued, or I don't know what happened. But Smosh like famously got stuck into this contract where they were told they would get a portion of a sale of their media company Smosh to whoever bought it, because at the time early YouTube people were trying to model television, where it was like, you know, we have this small media company, and you look up like what's the model that currently exists. And it's television and movies and stuff, and so everyone tries to make their channel like a more commercial operation, like a production company. And so Smosh, that was early enough where they were like, yeah, this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to make a production company. And so they signed this deal that ended up basically netting them nothing. They lost the name, they lost everything. They just worked for it, and someone else owned it. And so all the work that they did was just going to somebody else, like the historical work, the this, that, and they never got like a bulk payout for the transition or like the transfer of the brand Smosh. And like what I sort of, you know, I think one of the things I want to talk to you the most about is sort of this like very kind of like awkward situation, at least for me looking in, is like you have put a bunch of work into a channel, and that channel will continue to make money off of the work that you've done, and you will never get paid for it. And even in Hollywood, this has sort of been figured out with residuals, even if it's like, you know, there's like jokes about how little people get, but you'll get paid money for money that was made off of media like decades later. And so like for me, like I still make money off of videos that I posted 2 years ago. Like, and I haven't posted a video in like almost 3 months, and it's like the channel still is making money every single month. And so
yeah, whereas Nate, the king of random Nate, who is now not the king of random,
right?
I mean, so that
is it different though when you go
is there anything
you don't have like a platform to go on, and then you get given this platform?
Say again?
No, I'm saying like does that model apply if you like don't have a platform to begin with, and then you're given this platform to make videos for as a salary?
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of.
That's kind of the real question, is it? And I, for a lot of my time working there, was something that I wanted. I was interested in that, but it never ended up being on the table. But it is, yeah, that's sort of the question, is what you're saying, Kevin, is that while I was saying, I was coming from the side of like, look, I am making all of this content. I am here. I'm doing this, and I could be doing this, anywhere else. Their side of it is like, yeah, you could do this somewhere else, but it wouldn't have nearly the same viewership. It wouldn't have the audience. Like when I joined the channel, it already had 8.5 million subscribers, and every video was getting 2 million views kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was coming into this already moving quickly vehicle, and the question is like, am I adding any speed to this vehicle, or am I just there for the ride?
It's a trap.
The answer is some balance of the two, but
yeah, I think it kind of switches over time, especially because I remember right at the beginning, all the comments when sort of like you first started appearing were so bad. Like they were so negative. Like, who is this?
Did that bother you?
We want Grant.
So fun story. Short story, but fun.
Fun stories are never fun.
This one's a little fun. Okay. So yeah, there were tons of those, like Alan was saying. Tons of those comments, and like they were kind of mean sometimes, and every once in a while I'd be like, "Come on, I'm just trying to do a job." And then like one day, just some comment, I don't know what it was mean, and I was like, "Who are these people even?" So I like clicked on his profile, and it brings it up, and the profile picture and like the one video they have uploaded is like a 6-year-old, and I was like, "Oh." It's a child. A child is being mean to me. And it was this weird switch where I went from like, man, they're still being mean, they're still having these comments, to just like, I don't care. Like, yeah, they're not gonna like me, so what? Like, that's just how celebrities are. Like, Grant is this celebrity they've loved for so long. And so I just got to there was something in my brain switched. I was like, all right, all of you negative people, you're...
Like a lot of most of these people are just children, are literally are actually in kindergarten.
How many of you guys, do you watch Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very intelligent.
I'm Pickle Rick!
There you go. Well, there's the episode, there's just an episode where he's in front of an audience, and he says something, and they're all booing at him, and he says, your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that's an important thing to remember if you're in the public eye sometimes. And I try to sort of hold on to it. It's not that I have, I don't dislike my fans or anything like that, but it's just the idea of like, I don't have to have everyone like me. All of the comments don't have to be supportive. Even none of the comments have to be supportive. It doesn't really matter to me anymore.
Well, you're free now, Nate. You can say whatever you want. You can tell your fans exactly what you think of them now, because you're completely free. Yeah.
Is there anything that you're going to do on your channel that you think will be different than the King of Random channel? So, like, what were your responsibilities on the King of Random? Like,
I mean, it would kind of have to be different, right? If the King of Random's kind of on this, like, downward slope, it's got to be different.
Because you didn't film, right? You were just... Did you come up with ideas and then execute the ideas on camera?
Yes. I was come up with ideas and the primary host. I was the host there the longest, but it was just equal hosting.
Planning? Were you planning stuff as well?
Yeah.
Or... So like, here's my question is, I don't know how to word it, but like, how much did you do? Like, what percentage of the video did you do? So like, would you say that you were doing like 50% of the work, 60% of the work?
So say there's a video that needed to get done. There were times, like for over a year, where it was, I would do everything until I would tell the cameraman, we're filming this day, which was usually scheduled because we'd film most days. But if this is sort of the hypothetical, I could be like, Mark, cameraman, we're filming Tuesday. And we would show up, he would be on camera and lighting, and then we would do all of the video, and that's where my part ended. So I had everything up to filming, coming up with the idea, researching, prototyping, building, buying supplies, whatever, right, until we're filming, and then I would be the host. I would do the thing on camera as he filmed it, and then he would do an assembly edit, and then it would get sent to other editors.
So you're basically...
Sounds like most of it to me. That's like most of it.
I mean, editing is a lot, but if you've done a good job on the upfront, like, that is the hardest part. Like, editing is easy.
Especially for the King of Random, I think the videos are very straightforward. I would think that they're pretty easy to edit.
Yeah, I think so too. So here's kind of like my thought, bringing it back to earlier, of like, you kind of were almost like just an actual straight up YouTuber at that point. Did you consider starting your own YouTube stuff kind of on the side of King of Random at all at any point?
I did, and that's why I have it's very limited, but like I have been uploading a few videos to my own channel over the past 6 months. It's just been kind of rare.
Right.
But last year, so like I started being able to do that because last year I did renegotiate my contract. I was a little annoyed at how some things had worked out. I was annoyed that they had let Callie go as my co-host. And so I had switched over to working half-time for like the past 4 or 5 months. So it was
so they could pay you less.
It was I would do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and for half the salary, which is probably why they agreed to it. And so I was trying to use those 2 weeks off to do my own stuff on the side.
Who is they? I've always wondered, like, after Grant died, who took over like the business side?
Does his family still
his family?
have
Did he have like a business partner?
His wife owns the channel, and has other people in the company that she has helped run it.
Is she active in it, or does she kind of just delegate everything to like a main manager?
Kind of depends on how busy she is with the rest of her life. Sometimes she works hands-on. Sometimes she's had times where she doesn't have time and is hands-off.
That's cool. Was she active with Grant before this?
Do
you remember?
Not that I saw much, but
yeah, because he kind of came in after.
Yeah, like okay. So the phrasing of this sounds very accusatory, but according to her, she was active in it before Grant passed. It wasn't in a way that I saw. So I'm not trying to say like, no, she wasn't, because she could have been. I just don't want to make it sound like I'm saying like, well, she says no. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So to some degree, I don't know what exactly that level was.
So there's kind of like this, essentially like a small business, like a family-run business mostly, that is behind the scenes, who decides kind of how to run the channel and how to spend money and how to try to save money and sort of maybe what direction to take the channel. Did they ever consult you with like, what do you think we should do? Like, what direction should we take the channel in, or what kind of things should we do?
A little bit. So at the beginning of 2021, this is about 6 months after they had tried bringing on new hosts. Views are still going pretty downhill. And so beginning of 2021, the people who were daily at the studio working on making the videos, we put together a proposal of what we wanted to do. And it was going to be like a hard turn in production, everything, like in how we wanted to do everything. And we put that together and we proposed that to them, saying like, hey, this is the kinds of videos we want to make. This is the number of videos we want to make. This is how much effort and time and money we want to put into them. And it was basically trying to steer away from the daily small stuff that we had done a lot of into the much bigger, way more time, much higher production value videos, like more of a Mark Rober style than what we had been doing. And we we were kind of able to do that. It was a weird transition because at no point did they ever say like, okay, we like that proposal and you should start doing it. It was just sort of this like, oh, okay, well, maybe we could try sort of. We're like, wait, is that a yes? Is that a yes? Can we go? And they're like, well, we can.
It's just too much of a decision to make, so they're just kind of like.
Yeah, but eventually they did say like, yeah, go forward with it. Make, show us the type of video you're talking about, type of thing. But even while they were saying that
so basically you would have to figure it out on your own, sort of like not even necessarily on company time because you're also having to do your normal job. And they were not going to necessarily give you the resources to go and try to figure out like a new direction to change the channel. It would be like, well, if you want to figure it out.
They did. They let us. The biggest issue is that while they were saying like, yeah, go forward, try it out, see what you can do, they were simultaneously hampering our ability to do that. I'm having a hard time explaining this because it gets into personal lives of other people that I don't feel like I can talk about. But there were things they did that I felt greatly impeded our ability to make the videos the way we wanted, even while they were saying like, what's stopping you? And I had some angry discussions with them about like exactly what I felt was stopping me.
It's just like your typical like small family business kind of thing, like just sort of like, you ever been to a restaurant where like the menu kind of just looks sort of shit, and it's like just spend the $1,000 it would cost to like make this better. It's like just a lot of maybe not like good decisions or like thinking things through, just kind of like thinking too simplistically sometimes without looking at the big picture and making it like
it's worked this way for 15 years.
Yeah, just. Right, like just not finding the motivation to like seek out a change. I feel like I don't know.
You guys tried that recently. You did that video where you blew up the house in the desert.
Yeah, that was our sort of first big, the size and type of video we wanted to do. That was like back in March or April or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. I loved that video. I loved almost every part of that. Our time frame was difficult to work with. Like with that video, on like the day of filming, if literally anything had gone wrong, that video would not have happened.
Wow.
If one thing had gone wrong the whole day, none of that video would have worked.
And it all just worked. That's got to feel good.
Everything worked like perfectly on the day, which was just mind blowing. But
yeah, that's nuts.
But it was so fun.
I saw the drone footage of that, and it was like I could see everything going on in the background. I mean, you had like so many people there. You had firefighters, probably like pyrotechnicians and stuff like that. And that
do you know how much money you guys spent on that video?
Video did good.
I don't know exactly. Thousands, but I don't know how many.
Tens of thousands.
It has 1.2 million views though, so I mean that did good.
Yeah. But I mean, we used to get 1.2 million views for like, here's some dry ice.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes, I mean, I used to. All I did was pour
shit, Nate.
Yeah.
All I did was pour aluminum on things.
That's true.
For like 2 or 3 years.
I actually do think it's really funny. So one of, if not, I think it's the second highest viewed video that I personally worked on the channel is what happens if you put dry ice in the Foundry. Like we had done stuff with Foundry before, done stuff with dry ice. And like, spoiler alert, it dissipates slightly faster than if you left it out on a counter. Like nothing cool happens when you put dry ice in a Foundry, like at all. It's got like 20 million views.
Yeah.
It's like self-insulating.
It doesn't even have to be cool. It just has to be something where
people had to know.
What happened.
Yes, they have to. They're like, what does happen?
I didn't never need to know that I wanted to know this before, but now I do.
Yeah.
And even if the answer is nothing, like you get an answer that you wanted. Mm-hmm. So I think it's fair. Mm-hmm. Nothing cool ever has to actually happen.
Well, that's why we ended up actually putting rocks in a vacuum chamber and not Dwayne Johnson. Is because we're like, I don't know. Apparently, everyone wants to know this, so let's try it. And then it didn't.
What happened? What did the rocks? Did they grow bigger? Did they grow smaller? Did they make noise?
Did they explode?
Yeah.
They have to.
Did they
explode.
shrink?
They just.
Did they turn into animals?
Like balloons. They just
Whoa.
Amazing. Nothing. They did
looking at
literally
the-
nothing in case anyone doesn't get that that's sarcasm. Just in case. Literally nothing.
I'm looking at the channel stats on Social Blade, and in 2019, like summer of 2019, the King of Random channel was pulling in like 68 million views a month.
Jesus.
Is that the beginning of summer 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about the
So-
end of summer 2019?
And the end of summer 2019 is like 50 million, 53 million views.
Beginning of
like-
that's banana.
And then
That
like
slope, that slope
January.
kept going for a while.
Yeah, just damn it, stupid camera. Basically, my sort of prediction of like that the total like gross just ad revenue is like it's a lot of money, like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
No comment. No comment.
And
from
so
me.
like if you're talking like almost 100 million views a month, that is like guaranteed at least $100,000 a month.
just from the ad.
Just from the ad revenue.
Just from the ad revenue.
And so like that's kind of
Nothing
what
else.
boggles my mind. Like this is what I'm talking about of like the weird sort of like the problem with like working for a YouTube channel instead of just doing it on your own is like this is the situation you'll find yourself in where when the company wins, the company wins. And when the company loses, you lose. And like that's what happened here. Is like you were with them during this like some of these most successful periods, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, we can't afford you anymore. But like we're like they don't have any of that money. Like where did that money go during the the summer where the channel like I mean like dude,
You could
that's
look at it two
insane.
ways.
Like,
You
if-
could also look at when did you sign on? Oh no, you were in like way before.
2017.
2016, 2017.
2017.
Yeah, so
I was
that's
gonna
2
say
years.
you could have
and like
just ran it into the
that
ground.
growth
that could be you.
could have been no, but like that growth could have been caused by you. Like we'll never be able to necessarily know, but like you might actually be responsible for like $1 million in gross revenue.
I mean, it's not him. We know for sure
No,
it's not.
exactly.
Yeah. Hold on. Wait. My battery's dying.
all right, you said we can ask you about videos.
Yeah. And,
I have
and
one.
we were
You
talking
didn't
about how
part-
you don't necessarily actually enjoy the content I was making, which I assure you I'm fine
Well,
with.
I don't. I mean, that's not. I don't want to say that.
I'm
but
just
I
saying.
would
No,
say,
it's not that we didn't enjoy it.
no.
It's that we hated
I know
it.
what Will's
That-
gonna say.
well, we didn't hate the content, but we hated the host. We hated Nate.
Oh, okay, it's good to clarify. Got to direct the hate where it's
Really, we missed Grant.
needed.
We wanted Grant to be the host, so we directed
I know
all of our
Will's got
frustrations.
one video in particular that he is his favorite King of Random video. It was a Grant original.
Is it rice?
It is the rice video.
Yeah, of course it's the.
How
There's-
did you know it was the rice
There,
video?
there are two reasons
That
I
is-
know.
Do you know how happy that makes me? That wait, I got you.
Let
Will
me,
immediately
Do you-
fucking
do you
knew
know
how many, there's like
how
a
happy it
1,000
makes
King of
me that you
Random
brought that
videos,
up?
and he knew exactly.
let me
which one.
explain. One, because in all of the King of Random back catalog, that's the one that has taken by far the most crap and flack, and I agree with
It
that.
deserves it.
Agreed. Two, not too long ago, I got to go out for a King of Random video to Ohio to hang out with Flight Test, and Peter Sripol was there.
Oh, Peter gave it away.
Peter talked
gave
about
it
the
away.
rice video.
Well,
Peter's always giving this
But
shit
then,
away.
but then even before that is, did Grace come to hang out with some of you? Because she did
she the
something with
she's the new
she's the
one?
new
Yeah.
girl. She did something with Peter Sripol, like he was there wherever it was. I don't know, but he was there, and so he had already talked to her about
Peter.
the rice videos, and then when he was there at Flight Test, like he was kind of like ignoring Mark and me as we were filming stuff, and so I like just called out to him and I was like, Peter, I heard you really like the rice videos and you wanted to do another one or something. And so
Do you want to? I feel like you should
And
give
then
context
Peter
to the rice
is
video.
taking
All right,
the
yeah.
blame lessons.
Do you
So-
want to describe? If,
Yeah,
for
what
the-
is this video that we're
the
talking
rice
about?
video, So this is before my time. Just throwing that out there.
right before your time though?
Is it really close?
I think it's just the YouTube says 4 years.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you could probably find like an
this
actual
is April,
upload date.
April
Okay.
8th of 2017.
There you go. So just a few months before my time. So Grant made a video, and the experiment, as I recall it, was he had two seemingly
I'll read the
identical.
title. Interesting experiment with cooked rice. Incredible power of words. Experiment by Grant Thompson. Oh, I've disliked it. I've disliked the video.
Well, it's a good thing we can't see those anymore.
Okay, so that's the title. What's the premise?
So 2 seemingly identical jars of boiled rice, and at one of the jars, they said a lot of derogatory, mean things to the jar of rice, and to the other jar.
Most racist things you've ever heard, right into that jar of rice.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
Uncensored.
I actually don't remember if it shows any of the mean things that they said. It's been a long time since I've watched that video.
It's just like stupid words.
And then they just said like nice things to the other jar, and then they like took the 2 jars, sealed them, and put them in a cupboard, maybe?
Yeah.
Which
And they like forgot about it. That's my favorite
You're
part.
supposed
They
to
like
put cooked
forgot
jars
that they were
of
doing
rice in a
this.
cupboard, but anyway, so then one of the jar that they had said nice things to just looked like a jar of white rice, and then the other jar looked like it had started like going moldy or bad or whatever.
Psychedelic mushrooms.
Maybe. And
It's just like slightly more brown than the white rice.
all right.
Sorry.
So a little worse. And that was the video was presented just as is, and it seemed to be saying that like, look what the power of our words did to these jars of rice.
I'll read some of the words. I have a screenshot.
Oh.
So the nice one says, thank you, love, positive power. There's a couple other. It's like tape. They've like wrapped tape and written on the tape with a Sharpie. And the
so
mean
not
one
just
says,
vocalized.
You disgust me, idiot. I hate you.
Just a bunch of his YouTube
And then
comments.
there's a third one. That's a control. It's got nothing right.
That's almost meaner, I think. To ignore the third jar.
Ignore the rice.
I tried replicating this experiment to shit on it, and then it just kind of went on too long, and so I think I ended up repurposing the footage into like just a TikTok.
He
or
ended up
something.
repurposing the rice into eating it.
Yeah. So here's what I found out: is I did the exact same thing. I took 3 jars, I put fresh rice into them, and over a period of it was like 4 years. Like I just threw the jars out, and I did it like right after the Grants video came out. So it was like they were in there for like 4 years until I finally made a video about it. And during that time, I asked different like other YouTubers to either insult one of the jars or praise one of the jars. So like I have footage of like Simone and like Kyle Hill and like Diana, and they're like, I have footage of Carrie Byron from MythBusters.
Wait, why did
just
you not
No
do
insulting
that
way.
a
video?
jar of rice? Because I just never got around to it.
But
And
you
then
threw it
also, I never got around to like making the footage into a video. So I just turned it into a
you-
TikTok later. But what I found out was that it turns out that none of the jars of rice, nothing happened to any of them, because I put the rice in new jars. I store-bought jars, opened them up, rice went straight in from the rice cooker, so they were all completely sterile.
Yeah,
I
it was,
sealed
like,
them
all
up sterile.
hot still.
And all 3 jars looked just like white rice, almost pristine white rice.
I think that the reason that people don't like that video is because the experiment was done really badly.
There can be several reasons.
And also, like,
So in
there's
my
a-
experience, it turns out the thing that makes the rice go bad is like bacteria and stuff.
That was
that got
always
into
my
the jar
assumption
when
as
you were
well.
jarring it.
Yeah.
Okay, but then at the end of the video, Grant talks about this book called the Hidden Messages in Water.
I've forgotten about that.
Yeah.
And I don't really even know what it is.
It's just one of those new agey, like trying to like connect in like quantum mechanics and stuff, just like, crystal science shit. Where they're like, oh, your outlook, your observation changes the wave function of particles, so actually your attitude, it physically changes the structure of water and that kind of shit.
All right, I'll read a review from the book. on
Manifest.
Amazon.
I kind of thought
change.
about something like
This
that,
is-
Alan. You go ahead first.
Oh, writing a
this is
book to scam people out of
a 5-star
money.
review.
No, about
Astonishing,
water, like
empowering, and
having a
enlightening.
consciousness.
Love this book. Guaranteed to delight and amaze you. Might even cause you or someone you know to awaken. We are all one. The water mirrors the vibration and intense that we hold. Just think, if thoughts can do that to water, what else is possible? I have given away several copies as gifts and had to replace my own worn out copy a few times. Everyone
Well,
needs
if
to
they
read
like
this
the
and
book
study
so much, why did
photo
the
of
book fall
crystals.
apart? The book should be in pristine condition if they actually liked it.
The book's not made of water.
They weren't saying nice things.
You're right.
Wow, on Amazon, 2,000 reviews,
You got
4.5
me.
stars.
I want to read some
They
of the
must just
one-star
sold a
reviews.
lot of this to get 2,500 reviews.
Yeah, Kevin, you should write a book about the properties of snake oil and sell 1 million copies of that.
You
Here's
should try to make a video titled taking the oil out of a snake.
Actually, that was a video idea I had. We conceived it
Oh.
whether or not we could make actual snake oil, and I think in the end we didn't know where to get enough snake meat to try it.
I feel like we learned.
There's got to be a way because it's literally named after like a historical thing. Like that
Yeah.
was
I
a thing. Snake
Who
oil's
said there?
real.
Yeah, you said it. You
Well-
said there was an actual snake oil
Yeah, like
that would help with like joint pains or something.
Yeah, that phrase is based off of the fact like that was a real thing, but that it was
I
often
just assumed
faked.
that whatever they were selling wasn't actually from a snake. I just assumed they were taking like mineral oil and saying it was from a snake or something.
That's I think what they did, right? They like they there is a snake oil, or apparently there is a snake oil, and that you can then cut it or like say that you've got something else, and I don't know.
Yeah, but I think it should be possible to like squeeze oil out of snake flesh like you would olives or whatever.
Gross.
snakes,
virgin
unfortunately,
snake
don't
oil,
survive.
extra virgin snake oil.
Well, because like we had a friend help us out, and he actually built like an essential oil extractor. So you could, in theory, put anything with oil in it, and it would pull the oils out of it.
We turned it into a snake trap. And with the power of an Arduino, we were able to completely automate it.
Yep. So snake. Let's have a snake mating call.
Honestly, that was really the only thing I wanted to ask you about was the rice video.
Well, I think I feel similarly about it as you do. So
That's good. What are your plans for your own channel moving forwards?
Rice part 2.
it's mostly gonna be, yeah, it's
part
mostly
2.
just gonna be rice
Make
jars.
rice video. Yes.
Amazon is back ordered on jars right now, but I
can get you some jars. I have some
Ooh,
jars.
you got a jar guy?
Yeah, I can fill them with science guy goo if you want science guy
That's
goo.
what I
Can
think
you,
we
can
need.
you put like a little pony figurine in there?
Which one goes bad first? The My Little Pony figure that you insult, or the My Little Pony figure submerged in science guy goo that you give compliments to at night? Oh, you're so pretty. You're such a pretty pony.
I hate this. I hate this place.
If there was a god, then the one you complimented would die first.
If there was a god, the god would kill all the ponies so they could end their suffering.
Oh gosh. Plans.
So not that.
So, well, we'll circle back to that.
Okay.
Plans for my channel.
Yeah, more on the my ponies in the jar first.
A lot of what I want to do is sort of the building and crafting side of things, which was always my favorite part of the job. I love using tools, figuring out how to build something, building it. It's a lot of fun. I have done I've done some knife making, and I plan to do more knife making videos on the channel. Builds for whatever things I come up with needing in my house. Like I've got a video where I made shelves, or one that I'm putting out sometime soon-ish where I made myself a new coffee table, and I was like, oh, cool, it's a coffee table. I do hope to do some other experiment stuff. I've talked with a few other YouTubers who said they'd love to do collaborations. And beyond that, I don't have everything planned out. I just kind of want to start making whatever seems fun and working for it.
Do you have anything you're gonna like sort of take from the what you learned working on the King of Random channel, like lessons of what to do or what not to do?
I'm gonna really see if I can hold out and avoid doing the just making videos purely for the sake of making videos. Like I want it to all be stuff that I actually want to do. Like if I don't have any interest in trying an experiment, then I'm not gonna do it just to put a video out on the channel, unless I become terribly desperate for money. But Just make
Give
more
it a
knives
year.
and
Give
sell
it a
those.
couple of years.
Yeah, we'll see.
At some point,
we'll see.
your brain is going to start cross-referencing videos that you think will do well with videos that you want to do, and so you won't be able to tell anymore if you want to do it or if you just think it'll do well.
Yeah, those are the worms.
I
Those are
believe
the
you.
brain worms.
Listen to the worms, though. They usually get things done.
Well, some of the worms are good, and some of the worms are
Oh, yeah,
bad.
you gotta
can
don't
never
listen
know
to the
which
bad
one's
worms.
which.
Listen to the good worms. And honestly, right now, I can't tell you which of the worms that are in my brain told you to do all this. I think it might be the bad worms, though. So I would be careful.
You can never tell. You know to only
bad
listen
worms
to the
are
good
This
ones,
is how-
but you can never know
we
which
want
ones
bad
are
This
good.
is this is the reproductive cycle of the bad idea worm, like the
Yeah.
bad worm in your brain. Is it just tells other people to follow what the worms say? It's a good idea.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
and then a new
No.
bad idea worm is born. It's very sneaky. Yeah, I'd love to do all sorts of stuff. There are experiments I still want to do. I want to do some cooking stuff. I want to do some travel stuff if we're ever allowed to travel places again. I'd love to do more actual cool building, giant stuff. Taking something little and making it big just because that's amusing to me. Like, I don't know, all sorts of things.
I would say
should
one thing
Yeah.
King of Random did that I wouldn't want to bring over would be the videos all seemed very overproduced in a way. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I
with
was gonna say this is a good exercise. This is what we would call our this is what a mastermind meeting should be, but our mastermind meetings just turn into arguments half the time. A good exercise. Why do you think that the King of Random channel started like experiencing less views?
Me or everyone?
You. I mean, you're
I'll
gonna
go
have a
first.
different answer than us because we have a different experience than you, and
Yeah.
we also have an outside view. So, no, let Nate. Don't let your opinion influence what
I
Nate
do.
Yeah, let his worms talk, not your
Yeah,
worms.
let his
Yeah.
worm. I don't know if it's good or bad, but all I know is that it is worms.
Yeah, shut up. My worm is talking. Shut up. My worm is talking. I mean, I definitely do believe that actually something in the YouTube algorithm changed just because when that was happening, we looked around at like every channel we could find that we thought was kind of like ours. And the more similar to our channel they were, the more they were following our same pattern of views. Like, and that could also be explained by just trends in the zeitgeist of what people were trying to watch. But like the massive downturn that multiple channels took in the same sort of time period seemed to indicate that something actually did change in the YouTube algorithm. But it also could line up with the huge advent of TikTok taking off during COVID, which is just, it got huge, and I think a lot of people turned to TikTok for their like quick clips of entertainment. But you know, not every channel on YouTube got hit by that, so it's not like people stopped watching YouTube. As for why it hit our channel more than some others, I don't really have a good theory, honestly. If I had known anything specific, I would have tried to counter it, but I never really had anything. You guys might have way better insight than me. What do your worms say?
Kevin's got worms. What do Kevin worms say?
Oh, worms of the
Worms are just
backyard, give
making
me your
screeching
knowledge.
noises right now, hissing.
Yeah, backyard worms.
No, that's
the worms
that's
that
just
Kevin's been
ringworm.
eating
Backdoor
out of his
worms.
That's just
backyard.
ringworm.
What are the worms in your backdoor saying?
That's also a ringworm. They
Florida.
say that. Okay, a lot of this, my videos, I don't say, looking at my social blade, my views were kind of like, kind of steady until I met a bunch of other YouTubers and I started hanging out with them more and they started doing
Then they went
better.
down.
Because what I learned from them is that there's more to a video than just the thing. It's like there has to be a good reason why you're doing the thing and kind of a story behind it. So no more just, pouring aluminum on a watermelon because you want to know what'll happen. There has to be like a reason behind it. And I think a lot of the recent videos, or, not the recent ones, but since Grant made the change, have been more kind of like what if kind of videos. And, a lot of them are just, I feel like you kind of know what's going to happen, but there's also a lot of videos that do stuff like, not you, but other channels, they just like run over stuff with a car. That's the whole channel. They make like 25 million views a video. So I don't know if I'm right about this, but I feel like if you're going to do videos like that, it can't be so produced and it has to kind of seem more spontaneous. I think it just,
Yeah, I think
it felt too much like
it's a
TV
mix.
or too overproduced for a lot of the videos.
I think that my sort of speculate, like there's a wide variety of ways to make a channel, but like a lot of times the most sort of guaranteed way for a channel to do well is potentially like good personality, sort of like good like interaction with an audience, like, you know, a person that people sort of enjoy kind of like socializing with virtually. Like that's one way. And it pretty much works all the time, every time. The other way is to ask questions that people want to know the answer to. And I think that the questions that you guys may have been presenting for a period of time maybe were just less interesting to people, if that makes sense. And I think that pursuing a quantity versus quality model probably contributed to that, because now you're asking too many questions and the quality of the questions go down because you're simply trying to sort of make more questions. And so it's like very kind of doesn't surprise me coming from a more like automated channel, which is like the word that I use to say what I don't want to do is like automate. Like don't automate. Automating is bad. It's very, very bad, because you end up in a situation where it's like a disembodied, you know, like soul trying to like make the body move around and work. And it just like doesn't work great, even though it technically works. And I think, you know, for a while it did work. And at some point, I think that the head probably just disassociated and stopped doing a good job of like keeping it together. And you end up with like this shell of a YouTube channel where it's technically doing what it should be doing, but it's not really doing a good job at it. It's just sort of like existing. And I think that decisions were probably made higher up that weren't made well. And you end up with kind of just, you know, it's like, it's not cohesive, if that makes any sense. You know, like, it's like bad writing in a TV show. Like, you ever watch a TV show and a character does something, you're like, that's not what that character would do. Like, what the hell? Like, that's out of place. Like that kind of a feeling where it just sort of doesn't feel right anymore. It doesn't have the sort of like a magic that a lot of like new channels can have when the person doesn't know what they're doing because they're just doing things, and people tend to like that a lot. So I think that my guess is that they just didn't know how to change. They didn't know how to steer the ship. They didn't know what to change in order to push the ship, point the ship in a direction that would have allowed it to be more successful. And they sort of just kept pushing buttons and just, I don't know, don't really care. Like maybe people just don't really care. They don't want to put the time and effort and thought, or they just straight up don't have the expertise. Because on YouTube, like, you might not have the expertise to figure out what people want to watch. You know, it's just like sometimes you just do things and it works and you don't really know why.
Yeah.
And so it's like kind of a mess and can be difficult to navigate. But if there's someone else making decisions and you just have to go along with it, that almost, I think, can make it a little bit worse. It's like, you know, you can see the ship sinking, but you're just like, what do I do? And it's like, you just have to sink with it or jump off. Like, you can't really do anything.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, from you know, your own creative standpoint going forward, like my recommendations would be to do things that A, you want to do, but B, that you also think people want to see. And like, why would somebody want to see it?
Yep.
And that's the end, because the camera died.
That camera, man.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
Like if you're, I always say that like if someone's channel is like dying, and they can't reevaluate and pivot, they're like an idiot.
I mean, yeah,
because you could do anything. You can literally do anything. You can you can actually do anything you want. Is that true, Alan?
It is in fact true. It actually is.
Do you? I mean, I feel like you've done something very similar in the past 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I had a channel that went on a hiatus for bad business reasons.
But before that, it entirely relied on pop culture.
Yes. So, I mean, my whole thing used to be just trying to figure out how to
make it real. Your trademark.
Make it real, although we can't say that because someone else uses that term. But I did like, that was the first thing that blew up for me, was making like the real Thor's hammer. You know, it was a Thor hammer with an electromagnet, so you couldn't lift it. And from there, it just kind of like, you know, it solidified in my brain, like, oh, this is what I have to do. Because like the next video I had after that was like real burning lightsaber, and it took off. And I was like, okay, like I just have to keep doing this. And I found that it was a very like difficult thing coming back to the channel after a break. It was that like it kind of like nobody really gave a shit. So I tried to make videos again and nobody was really watching them. And I was like, oh no, like I just need to find the right like IP. I just need to find the right property that's like going to line up with a big movie release.
What movie's coming out, you know? Like,
yeah, and it just didn't work. And so I found myself in a position where I had to figure out like what else I could do. And so it's meant that like the video ideas that I had, or like the project ideas that I had, I had to try things that I was very uncomfortable with, especially like in 2021. I did a couple of videos that like these bozos here helped me out a lot with in terms of like, you know, coming up with ideas and just sort of saying like, no, you could totally try that, when I was like, there's no way I could do that. Like I could not do a video where I'm just talking about like an Indiegogo campaign that like stole one of my lightsaber ideas. I was like, there's no way I could do a video where it's just like me talking about it. I have to build something. And I was like, well, no, you just have to make a video that like people want to watch. Like you don't have to do anything. I mean, you do have to make a compelling video if you're trying to get eyeballs on it. But like, you don't, outside of that, you don't really have to do anything else. And so like, I'm in a position now that I think is sort of healthier for the channel, moving forward, where now I can just kind of like I don't have to worry about like, oh, Batman's going to come out in March. I got to make sure I've got like a cool video lined up with Batman for that time. I can just kind of be like, well, I think it'd be really funny if I made a gun that shot bees.
Alan's channel is more about Alan Pan doing something, whereas it used to be someone recreating a Marvel IP or a you know, like a DC IP, like a superhero.
Yeah, and I found that it's that almost can sort of impede. It's almost like the opposite of like having a personality. It's like the antithesis of it. Like doing stuff like that can very much kind of lead to people only watching your channel because they want to see like something cool, and also ends up giving you this sort of impossible treadmill you have to keep up with, because it's like every single time you have to sort of one up yourself because people are expecting to see like more and more and more, and you can't really like, you know, it can be hard when you're doing that to go smaller. And instead, I've decided that I want to just go, I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to see how much smaller I can do each consecutive video and have people still want to watch it.
Yep. I mean, it's
Alan
like
Pan spins a quarter on the table for an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at
sequel to Inception.
1.
Make
what
it
did
real.
Vsauce?
Spinning top.
What is the last video Vsauce posted?
The computer.
God, I don't even remember.
Or like maybe, or wait, was it which channel was it?
I mean, they've all been good. Whenever he drops them, they're great.
Wait, no. Does he have a second channel? It's the one where he watches water boil.
Oh, that's not the most recent.
When was that?
That was a while ago. I think Vsauce's most
Ding.
recent video was talking about like this chair doesn't exist or whatever, and it's great.
Watching water boil was 2 years ago, looks like.
Was it? I swear there's a different thumbnail. No, whatever.
It's the Mandela effect.
I mean,
Yeah,
he has giving away my beard for charity, and that has 1 million views.
Yeah. But
yeah, 3 months ago, do chairs exist? 5.2 million.
Yeah, and it's a phenomenal video. He's been like recently he sort of just like publishes videos whenever he wants to, and it feels like he is then able to just put like a lot of sort of time and thought into them, and they're very good.
Kevin, you want to share your Claymore Roomba?
No.
Ooh, everyone's got bad videos that makes them feel bad.
That was
I don't
one
mean
even
like
bad.
that.
So,
I think everyone's got a video where they learn something important.
Yeah, I learned something in that. Still not sure exactly what it was. But no, that was me just trying something different. I just wanted to try a different style video, and
the idea was really good.
Yeah.
But the execution got lost in the collaboration.
It did.
And so what happened was Kevin
it was
had
also
this idea.
We were there. I was supposed to have it like the whole week, and it didn't show up until like the last day or something.
Right. Yeah, but that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like you still could have stitched it.
It kind of turned into more of like I'm hanging out with my friends and less of like I don't know what it was.
Yeah, but I mean, there's way to do that. It's just there's a fine line. Collaborations are very, very easy to like get out from under you. It's very easy to sort of like lose focus on your own sort of like your own story when there's a lot more people involved, especially because they're people who you enjoy spending time with. And so if it's you doing sort of the edit, it can, for me, it's very difficult to dissociate like what the audience wants to see versus like what I enjoy seeing, right?
Yeah.
There's moments where it's like, oh man, Kevin's like really funny here. But where like from an audience perspective, they might not even know who you are if they're watching like from my channel. And you're just like some dude. And it's like, oh, this doesn't have nearly the same impact as it does have on me. I've found that for collaborations, you just have to be ruthless. You have to just completely like really keep it down to the bone in terms of like what's going on.
I spent too much time like focusing on our interactions instead of like progressing the video, I think. Right. And it was kind of more of like what it felt like to me as my story versus like what the video should have been as the video's idea. But if it worked,
what's
it would
your
have
next
been
video?
Me?
Let's work through whatever your next idea is.
Me?
Nate.
Me or Kevin?
Or Nate.
You.
Okay.
The guest, our special guest for the episode.
My next video.
Yeah.
Good.
Filling a car tire with things and seeing if it pops better.
Pressurizing a tire with peanut butter, definitely. No. I
don't know if I would click on that, but I kind of want to do that. I just want to do it, even if I wouldn't click on it. I just want to see what would happen.
Well, you know, like people fill tires with nitrogen because the molecule's bigger and it won't squirt out. Well,
William, that gave me a new idea. So you should do a video where you do that, but you only film you. You don't show any of the experiment at all.
A video, but you can only see my face.
Yeah, you tell them what is happening, but you don't let them see any of it. Ever.
Like
you never post it. I don't have a specific set list of what my next videos are going to be. I do have some things I'm hoping to do in the future, but
What are you hoping to do?
Let's see, do I have a list somewhere? I might have a list somewhere, but I want to do a video where this is a simple like cooking experiment. I want to make the exact same recipe, but using the cheapest ingredients at the grocery store and the most expensive ingredients at the grocery store to see how different the result turns out.
Why don't you do that? I feel like you could do that tomorrow.
I mean, I might. Maybe not tomorrow, but like Wednesday.
This is coming from William Osman, who hasn't put out a video.
I'm telling people the things that I need to tell myself.
Yeah, he has good advice. Do what he says, not what he does.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep in mind, everyone has exactly one video where the thumbnail is just them looking sad, and the title is something like "I'm done."
You can do one of those like every
over.
I mean, like 18 months.
That's
every
kind
18
of
months
like
you get one of those.
It's got to be more than that. It's got to be more than that. Everyone, I think everyone gets one. Everyone gets exactly one.
I kind of did that with my last video,
Yeah, you
where it's like the why I'm gone from. It's my big video.
Oh shit, that's right. Okay, you already shot. You shot that one then. You're
done. You're done. All right, we should probably. Are we gonna do an extra thing on this? What the hell are we gonna do? No, I think we're just gonna announce it and then whatever. We'll just wrap this up and then we can keep talking.
Sure.
After, because if we record more than like 2 hours, Zach gets mad.
That's fair.
Yeah, we're getting there. There.
Thank you very much to our very special guest, Grant Thompson from the King of Random.
That's me.
You can check out his channel. Well, actually, do you have a channel URL or is it just what do you have? How do people find your channel?
Yeah, I mean, searching Nate from the internet, or it is, I think, just the youtube.com/c/Nate from the internet. So that should get you there.
Okay. We'll put a link too, and then hopefully when this comes out, he'll have made $0 spaghetti versus $10 spaghetti.
The thumbnail is like it's a bowl of shoelaces. Like a bowl of shoelaces with a red paint on it.
Instead of pasta noodles, he just used worms he found in his backyard.
Actual worms.
Those are free.
Those are free.
Are free if they're in your yard.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there was no way I could find flour for free, so I'm gonna use worms.
I can't think of anywhere that would just have flour. That's a weird one.
I wonder if you could go to like a bakery and like see if they just like, take flour out the ground that's in the bag, flour.
Just hand them like a broom and like a dustbin. Just like, can you just fill this with flour?
Like
thank you.
Pulling hair.
if you found like a school that was doing like making piñatas or Mod Podge or whatever, and then maybe if you took that liquid and you dried it out and turned it back into dry flour.
No, you can turn
paper
bread,
mache.
You can turn
Yeah.
bread back into flour.
You can?
Yeah.
No.
Bread
Well-
has other things in it.
Yeah, but
Aren't the proteins already all messed up when you bake it? Like that's the gluten. That's why the bread has the texture of bread.
it's called bread flour. It's a thing. That's all I know.
yeah, but it's not literally
I've seen it in
ground
the-
up bread.
Thank you for
right?
watching this hot diarrhea disaster.
This video is sponsored by
The sponsor of today's video is
Bob's Red Whole Mill.
the president
bread
of
flour.
North Korea. Which
Oh,
one
thank
is
you.
the president now? Kim
Jong-
His name's Jim.
Jimmy Bob
Jim Con.
Jr..
Jim Con Un. Jim
And brain
Kim
worms.
Jong.
Get yourself
Kim
some.
Jong.
Sponsored by
Ooh.
Brainworms.
All the
Kim Jong Un. This video is sponsored by Kim Jong Un.
Thank you. Glorious.
Yeah, he
I
looks
learned
great
recently that
nowadays. He's
his
lost a lot of
father invented burritos.
Yes. In 2011 or something. It was recent.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty recent.
Yeah. So
Which is, I didn't know that. I thought Taco Bell invented burritos, but I guess what the hell do I know?
Well, math checks out.
we should see
I'm
if you
gonna argue with
actually,
the whole country.
let's go watch. Let's look at the analytics for this podcast. See if we have any
How
fans
do
in
I
North
end
Korea.
this? How do I end the podcast? Does it just end and then we say go to...
No, Nate. Nate says it's over.
Oh, Nate, you say
When?
say it's over, but then Zach will cut it when you say it.